My name is Sarah, and I will be discussing the impact technology has on freedom of speech. The right to freedom of speech is protected under the Constitution under the First Amendment, and thus this right is very important to many Americans. Although all kinds of speech are allowed, speech that contains derogatory or racist terms and results in violent behavior is not allowed. Technology goes hand in hand with freedom of speech. Social media is an example of this because it has allowed people to express their opinions to one another, both globally and locally. Topics discussed could be topics of interest or even controversial ones. An example of this could be talking about equal representation in both race and gender. A disadvantage of social media's technological freedom is the spread of unethical content such as racism and child pornography, as well as the censorship of journalists whose main purpose is to communicate the truth to society about various issues. Social media has provided options to protect its users by giving them the ability to remove certain content from their social media platforms. The only way to find harmony in freedom of speech and technology is to draw a line between what defends free speech and what protects our diverse society. Since freedom of speech is a constitutional right, it permits Americans the ability to condemn their government and be able to express their opinions without any fear of backlash or being censored. However, it is much more complicated than that, as it depends on the type of speech that is being protected. During the Schneck versus the United States case, the Supreme Court stated that every person was not granted permission for speech that exhibited danger. For example, falsely shouting the word fire inside a large room full of people would not be allowed. During the Brandenburg versus Ohio case, the Supreme Court ruled that speech such as racism, even exhibited by a leader of the Ku Klux Klan, will be defended unless violence ensues from this. Essentially, freedom of speech is protected unless the speech results in some type of assault. This information was referenced from Gonchar Michael's article of the New York Times called "Why is Freedom of Speech an Important Right? When, if ever, can it be limited?" Weblogs and social media have become a source of empowerment to people to reach out to wide audiences and communicate their ideas and beliefs. This has resulted in effective protest movements and regulation laws. Social media has enabled wider audiences to discuss current issues of the world whenever and whatever. This shows that the internet is capable of enabling freedom as well as oppression. Thus, the internet has proven to be a practical tool. However, the internet has a way of keeping track of people like journalists and human rights defenders. These people are primary targets of surveillance and censorship since they dare speak the truth of certain issues. These people in power that monitor and censor these journalists and human rights activists can use either direct or indirect means of pervasive fear or prosecution against them. The constant monitoring, in turn, deters free speech. This information was referenced from Guarneri Claudio's article named "Technology Must Foster, Not Hinder Free Speech." It is crucial to be aware of how technology is portrayed in today's society. The concepts of ethics in society will enable future computer science students to design technology that will overall enable and benefit human rights. For example, One small piece of code could be used in a way that could either benefit people or potentially be very harmful in our society. In regards to social media and the internet, any individual can communicate their opinions to a large audience, and this includes political candidates and cultural critics. This was referenced from Fisher-Williams' article called Freedom of Expression on the Internet. The impact of social media proves to be confusing. Users should be allowed to utilize the platforms in ways that are secure and they won't receive backlash for their opinions as long as they are not hurting anybody. So where can we draw the line for freedom of speech? It is crucial to monitor for content such as cyberbullying and harassment, as these are considered unethical and hateful behaviors. But once again, social media has benefits for freedom of speech, as people are able to express their emotions without having to resort to any type of violence. As stated in DM's article, the best way to argue in favor of a topic is to be knowledgeable of the reason why people argue against the subject. It is crucial to have all of your information in order so that you may peacefully discuss the topic at hand with others. Essentially, this is a valid form of freedom of expression. Invalid forms of freedom of expression consist of illegal content and any type of speech that violates the law and are dangerous threats to someone or all of society. It is important to peacefully voice opinions and not get caught up in any type of emotional or physical violence. That being said, a form of protest could very well be uploading a status post to Facebook describing a person's certain belief. Topics like racism, feminism, and LGBTQ are all over social media platforms. People everywhere can express their own genuine opinions of these topics. Unfortunately, social media can also get a bad rap in regards to users who possess extremist views on subjects like sexism, racism, and politics. Cyberbullying is prevalent on the internet, and social media essentially permits this behavior to exist, which causes issues for both the bully and the victim. These extremists are allowed to post negatively about any topic as long as a person isn't technically being allowed or being harmed. Many platforms do, however, possess ways to remove these offending comments by having a report function or a mark as inappropriate function. Twitter has a feature called Muted Words that allows users to essentially create a list of undesirable terms they do not wish to see, and this feature allows them to remove those words from their timeline. This is a handy feature that keeps the peace and the tone of the conversation, but also removes the offending content for that particular person. While it removes it for the other person, it still does remain accessible to others. This was sourced from the article called Emerging Media and was found on the Loyola University's website. Consequently, social media has proved to be a technological innovation that calls for moral responsibility. Our right to freedom of speech is protected, and social media and technology gives us the ability to express our personal opinions and beliefs. People have the right to discuss either similar or different views of topics. Social media and technology work together and blend within our realm of communications. If we are careless, technology such as this could easily be weaponized and used against our basic human rights. We must draw the line at where the morally accepted norms lay and is displayed by all human beings. As a society, it is our job to use our voice in order to differentiate between freedom of speech in a professional manner as well as one in a disrespectful manner. Our right to freedom of speech should not mean that we have a right to purposely offend others or spread unethical types of content or behavior. We as a society need to utilize technology and social media within our ethical boundaries. It would be unethical of us to continue to hurt people by using invalid forms of freedom of speech. If we can accomplish this as a society, everyone will be able to safely and without judgment communicate their opinions in a just manner. Harmony could then be achieved in regards to technology and freedom of speech. Thank you for listening.